Hello, we are on day 2 of the Get Your Mind Right Challenge, and today we're going to talk about food and how we label it. So, I want you to start just by thinking for me about the last time that you went out for a meal, whether that was lunch, dinner, or breakfast, or the last time you sat down to have a meal. And I want you to think about the way that you label the foods in your mind. So, if you went out to eat, did you order something that you knew you shouldn't have, or something that you knew was not on your plan or wasn't good for you, but you decided to eat it anyways because it made you feel good, or you wanted it that day, or wanted it that moment? So a lot of times we label foods as good food and bad food. And there's no such thing as a good food or a bad food. All food is food at the end of the day. Sure, you're going to have your more natural foods that are going to be nourishing, have lots of vitamins, nutrients, fiber, all those good things. And you're going to have your food that also is processed, and it might have some good stuff in it, but maybe not as much. And there's kind of a scale of things. But somehow we've come to this point where we label our food as good or bad. And these things are either socially constructed based on the people we hang out with, what your coach is telling you, what your friends or family tell you, or what the news tells you, frankly. Or it might be something that we've just constructed in our brains as something we should or shouldn't have. And there's been a lot of changes happening with this, especially in recent years, I would say, as nutrition is developing and there's a lot more science behind everything, where foods that we used to think were bad for us, we know are no longer bad for us. And that was something that we were just self-imposing on ourselves. And so that's what I really want you to think about today. What food do you eat that you have those labels towards? And why do you have those labels towards them? Is it based off of something you've been told, something you've read? Is it fact? Is it just something that you arbitrarily have in your mind that is bad for you, that you shouldn't eat? But the other thing is to consider today that some foods are good for us physically. They nourish us, they give us energy, they make sure our muscles don't break down, they keep our brains and our guts happy, whatever those are. Those are some of the types of food. But there's also foods that are going to nourish us mentally. And there's a big differentiation between those two. But at the end of the day, food is food, and it nourishes us in one way or another, whether that's physically or mentally. So I also wanted to give you some examples. So for me personally, I know that if I eat too much bread or pasta, sometimes processed things like cookies, it doesn't set well with my stomach. Those foods in my mind I label as bad, but I know that they're not bad all of the time, just sometimes. Sometimes they hurt my stomach and I'm kind of aware of that reaction to my body. But I do know that those things also make me happy. So I know that if I have a cookie and it's Christmas time and I'm going to a party and they're there, that it's going to make me happy and it's going to feel really good. So those are two very different things, and I just want you to recognize those things. And then how does that affect your body? You know, just because you think that having those Christmas cookies isn't good for you, how does it affect you physically? Does it hurt your stomach? Does it hurt the way your brain functions? Do you feel sluggish? Do you feel tired afterwards? Things like that. Okay, so today's prompt that I want you to think about is recognizing that some foods make you physically healthy, and those might look a little different from the ones that make you mentally healthy. Both are important for your diet. So I want you to make a list of what those are for you. That can be your favorite healthy things to eat that you know nourish you physically, and it can be your favorite things that nourish you mentally. And I want you to compare the two. Are there any overlaps, or is it one type of food versus another? Just kind of take a look at that list. And then the second piece is I want you to think about if you find yourself in a cycle of either delving deep and really indulging in those foods that make you mentally happy and healthy, or do you find yourself restricting those foods for large periods of time? So it tends to be one over the other for most people. Either you are going all in, let's say it's the holidays right now, you're going all in with your pies, and your cakes, and your cookies, and your Christmas drinks, and all those things. And then come January 1st, you get rid of all of it, and you're restrictive. You don't have any of them. Do you find yourself doing those cycles, or do you find that you are able to have a little bit more moderation and have a little bit here and a little bit there? What does that look like for you? And I just want you to reflect on that. Then your assignment for today is I want you to include both types of food in your meals today. So at every meal, I want you to have something that is going to promote your physical health, and I want you to have something that's going to promote your mental health, okay? And I just want you to see how that feels. Shouldn't be a huge changes. It can be as simple as, I know that I need to have some broccoli at lunch today, but I'm also going to have some dark chocolate because it makes me mentally happy and healthy, okay? Whatever it is for you, and you can kind of pull from that list that you made of foods that are physically healthy for you and mentally healthy for you to put those into your day, okay? Doesn't matter what the amount is, I just want you to have one of each at each meal. If you have any questions, let me know.